Howdy folks, I'm going to be looking at the food consumption of the Noble Apes here in Entity Food. So, as previously discovered, the genetic values for the gene regulators are, when they're used only within a particular C file, they're defined at the top of the C file. This was news to me at the start of recording these videos, but you find something new through these things. So let's just have a look through what this covers. This covers food absorption, it covers finding the food at a specific location, it covers the food values, i.e. the food that is available through that specific location. I think that's the way that's used. Let's just double check here. Keep me honest. Yes. Where else is it used? Body action pickup. So it's actually picking up food. See how this is used specifically. Action pickup. Interesting. So, this is never actually explicitly used. But, potentially... so within the brain code, yes, there is potential to also arbitrarily pick up. It would be great if this was like a life or death situation, where that was actually... So, let's read this again. For a kind of food, the type of food, it returns the amount at that given place. Here also getting food values to pick up. This is actually the consumption of food. Returns the dominant food type on the land that associates maximum energy value. So the food type and the maximum energy value for the food type. Interesting. Food intertidal, which is seaweed and shellfish, this kind of stuff. Food eat, this is the actual consumption of food. Eat bland and eat intertidal food. Okay, so let's go through this code. There are 4 genetic variables that are defined from this. The genetics associated with getting energy from vegetables, energy from fruits, energy from shellfish, and energy from seaweed. The first thing is how the energy is actually absorbed in the body. Food type and location pointer, local pointer to the ape. So what it's doing here is it's taking an ape and the maximum energy which is, I guess, the maximum energy it can possibly absorb, and then the food type. So initially it gets the genetics from the specific being, and then it takes the energy from these things that the specific being can get. The absorption for different foods is normalized, and then, in case the food type being vegetable, fruit, shellfish, seaweed, it returns the energy absorbable relative to the particular type of food. So I understand it up to here. It takes some energy and takes this return value, and again multiplies the maximum possible energy, 1 plus the return value here. 1 on the absorption value here. Then we'll effectively divide by 8. And then this is the maximum return value. Again, I'd need to look at the logic here. I mean, I can see some of this expansion. But it just means an equivalent doubling with this one normalization, which in and of itself is very curious. I guess the 1 just means at least there'll always be a value there, if everything else is 0. It's still a bit curious. Anyway, so that is the energy that is absorbed for a given food type. So this finds the food location. This takes the land operator. Here it takes it's taking basically a differential of the land operator, or is it just taking the average? It's an interpolated land operator value. So, wondering why these are not. It takes 4 values, and then it's hardly an interpolation though, because it's only halving them. And I'd prefer this if it was bilinear interpolation, not a linear interpolation, because it's not a problem of linear interpolation either. It's like double the linear interpolation. It's kind of curious. Anyway, so that's the land operator interpolator that's being returned. And then for each of these locations, it provides the amount of each of these things. Of these locations. It's a dithering function there for the grass value. And then the dominant food type to eat is given. So if grass is greater than bush and grass is greater than tree, energy is grass. If bush greater than trees, energy is bush. If trees are greater than bush, then it's fruit. The energy is of type fruit. Food type is either vegetable or fruit. Oh, interesting. So actually, no, it's not. Well, I guess grass is considered vegetable. Yeah. So the grass and the bush both have vegetables, whereas the trees have fruit. So in the intertidal areas, you have 2 different kinds of food. Seaweed or shellfish. And in the seaweed case, it's because the seaweed area is greater than the rock pool and the seaweed is greater than the beach. And if rock pool is greater than beach, then it's shellfish. Otherwise, it's vegetable. What vegetable are you finding in, well, maybe I guess it could find some vegetables. But yeah, also a very curious calculation. Then finally you get to the eating, and the eating says that, well, the maximum energy is initially 0. There's vegetable energy and, well, there's vegetable food type. Finds the food type based on either land or intertidal. Then it consumes the food type. And then there are pathogens, which are basically diseases that are found within the food. And this is based on takes the immune system, goes to the pathogen environments, what have you, antigens, pathogens, and just adds it. And basically this is handled by another section. You ingest pathogens. Well, actually, yeah, that's the part that got us there. And finally, you have food absorption, which returns the energy that is being absorbed, again through this somewhat curious calculation. Food eat comes through in primarily only one case. Interesting. So in the handling case, they pick up the food, but they don't actually eat the food, unless I've missed something very important. So the brain code has them picking up the food. Now, can they eat the food from their hand? Doesn't appear possible. So they have something for picking up food, but they don't currently have anything for eating food from what they've picked up in their hands. That as well would appear to be a problem. Anyway, another walkthrough of the Noble Ape source code, identifying issues and curiosities at every turn. Tom Barbalet signing out.